Hi, this is Dominique for 644online.com. We're here to talk a little bit about private clubs versus public clubs. Private versus public, okay? So, and the mindset behind that, right? So, you have a, knowingly or unknowingly, you have a public name and you have a private name, right? And so what your public name does and what you do under the guise of your public name has nothing to do with you as a private individual if you set yourself up properly. One of those ways, of course, is copywriting your name so that you have the ownership of both the public name and the private name. But outside of that, your public name is the one that engages in commerce specifically. That is why you are basically a dead person when they give you your birth certificate, because corporations are not living entities. They are persons, but they're not living persons. They're not the flesh and blood man, right? And so if you do any kind of business, you buy cars, houses, you have credit cards, whatever the case, bills and stuff like that, it's always in your all caps name, because that entity is doing business with you via your personal corporation, your public name, right? Versus private name, right? There's people who do business privately. And when you do business privately, you are actually engaging in, you are still allowed to do business privately, no matter what they say. As a person, you are allowed to engage in business, but it's different because you are engaging one-to-one. You're not engaging with a large entity necessarily. This could be like when you go to the farmer's market and you buy eggs and stuff like that. Those are all, private entities. Most part, they do have public faces. We can talk about that in another video. And so your private, what is done privately is not, they can't really question that by law. It's really what you do publicly that they can. And so there are times when doing things publicly under your public name is useful, and there's times when doing things under your private name is useful. And you just want to know the difference. And so the reason why we have a private club over on 644online.com is because what is done privately is outside of the purview of the public peering entities. The public entities do not have access to what we do privately. They cannot regulate what we do privately. And so that's the difference in what we're offering at 644online.com. Things I can never say on video publicly, I can say privately. Processes I can tell you privately, I can never ever tell you publicly, due to the fact that on the public facing side, there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of control, there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, and the government is not really happy about people exposing their private business publicly either. So if their private business shouldn't be exposed publicly, your private business can't be exposed publicly either. And the Civil Rights Act of 1866 talks very, very much about what you're entitled to. You're entitled to the same benefits as other entities. You just have to make sure that you're using those benefits. And so I suggest and recommend that if you haven't copywritten your name, and I don't mean sending it to the public copyright office where they can actually steal it, because the public copyright office is a corporation, and that corporation will take first dibs of whatever you submit and keep it. However, there's a private copyright process that you can engage in, and that's what we do over on 644online.com, and that's why our price is the way that it is. And so if you are interested in that, you want to get started on learning secrets that can't be told on the internet about trust indentures, what is that thing called, tax credits, how to operate your business, debt relief strategies. We talk about all that stuff over on 644online.com in our in our private group, not public group. Good gosh. So if you're interested, please check us out. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next video.